Hello everyone, this is CY once again. Thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to follow up with the Delonghi Dedica, and today I'm not going to use my DF64V motorized grinder. I'm going to use something that's lower budget, like the Kin grinder. So on screen you can see I have a K4 and a K6. Okay, this is the K6 with steel burr. And then this is the K4 with the titanium coated burr, which is, you can see the black color here. Right. I have played with this grinder with the Delonghi Dedica for a while, and I pretty much dialed in the machine. So let's see how the coffee tastes like between the K4 and the K6 on the Delonghi Dedica. So let me first explain why I'm using the King grinder, because the King grinder is below $100 for a very good grinder with very good quality grind, and then to pair with the Delonghi Dedica, which is around $300 plus to $400. So at a kind of budget, if I use the DF64V, which is around $700, the espresso machines is the coffee grinder is now more expensive than the coffee grinder. It may not make sense to some of you, but in the coffee world, usually we tend to get a very good grinder so that in case we upgrade the coffee machines, right, or your espresso machine, we can actually keep the grinder and move on to a better quality machine. So that's the whole idea. But with a King grinder, right, you can pretty much use this grinder for almost from espresso all the way to filter coffee, right? Even French press is possible. So let me explain the key differences between these two grinders. Of course, the K4 is titanium coated. In terms of grinding efficiency, it does not really improve the grinding efficiency. However, the main difference is the number of clicks. I think according to the website, it is 0.16 or 60 micron per click. And on the K4, I tend to grind at a much higher clicks. Usually on the Delonghi Dedica, I will grind around 80 plus clicks from lock position, not from the zero position, of which I'll explain in a short while. Whereas the King grinder K6, I tend to grind at around 40 plus to 50 on espresso setting for the Delonghi. So if you look at the K4, right, this is the K4, right. I'm going to return my grind setting all the way to the lock position. Right, so now you can see the grinder is locked. When it says lock, means your crank cannot be moved anymore. Right, it's locked tight. This is what we call the free moving position, whereby your crank is free to move. Right, so at this position is locked, and if you see the grinder itself, my lock position is around 50, which is actually minus 10 on the grinder. So if I move it slightly, right, it is still locked. Move it a little bit. You can see it start to move. So actually my actual zero is actually negative 10. So which means to say that the grinder zero is not the actual zero here. So you have to first check where your zero on your grinder before you actually count the number of clicks or refer to my clicks as comparing to yours. And also because I'm using a Delonghi Dedica with a slightly weaker pump, and when you have a weaker pump, you tend to grind a little bit coarser so that it does not choke the espresso machine. And on this grinder, I'm going to grind at 90. So I'm just going to count, right? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, right? 85. Let's try 88, or maybe 89 for now, right? So this is 89 clicks on the K4. And the zero setting for the King grinder K6 is slightly different from the K4 again. So again, I'm going to return my grinder to the lock position. So I can see it's locked now. right? The crank doesn't move. And if you look at the 0 setting, let me move it slowly, right? You can see it's still locked. Still locked. Still locked. It began to be able to move slightly, but it is still in the lock position. You can see that now it starts to move. So my 0 position is actually at -3. 1, 2, 3. So you can see my 0 position is actually at -3. So this is something you need to determine before you even start using the king grinder. And on the K6, I'm going to go for, let's say, 50 clicks, and let's try on the Delonghi Dedica to see whether we can pull a decent espresso shots. So I'll go to 0 first, and remember we have advanced 3 click. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 41, 40, this is actually 43, yeah? 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. Okay, let's try at 51. Right, so now I've set the grind setting on both the king grinder, and now let's get 15 grams of coffee beans, and then we grind. And I'm not going to grind. I'm not going to count the. Time the grinding. How long it takes for me to grind all the beans. I'm going to count the number of revolution I turn on the grinder, so that it will give you a better idea. Because my turning will be different. My turning speed will be different from your turning speed. I tend to grind a little bit slower, and I don't go full blast or try to grind the bean as quickly as possible. I take my time to slowly grind through the beans. So I pre-measured 15 grams of coffee each, and I'm going to start with the K4, and I'm going to count the number of clicks. Right, let's go for it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51. So around 51 to 50, maybe around 52, 53 clicks, the grinding has been completed for the K4. Now let's do it on the K6. The grinding experience is pretty good, except that the silicone padding here sometimes will slip, but I'm still able to hold on quite tightly onto the grinder. So there's a little bit of slippage, but it's working pretty well so far, right? So again, let's count the number of revolution we turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64. So around 64 clicks, right, the K6 completes this grind. Right, so now let's pull an espresso shot, but first let's flush the portafilter. Let's try to warm up the portafilter before we even start. And I've set my Delonghi to standby after 30 minutes. Right, so now the portafilter is nice and hot. Let's just dry it quickly. I always like to keep my machine clean, as well as the polyfilter. And I like to use the dosing funnel from the La Specialita Arte, right? So let's start with the K4, right? You can see this is the amount of static that is built around the grinder, right? So there's a slight static attraction here, right? It can improve if I do RDT, but the improvement is very minimal. And the way I prepare my coffee is always I pour in the coffee like this, and when you pour in the coffee, you can see that it will start to have like boulders of coffee being compacted, and this is when it's good to have a WDT tools. I'll go front and back to break out the clump first. Then I'll do in circular motion to sort of try to level the coffee, right? And then after that, I'm just gonna do a quick knock on the table, and then I'm gonna tamp directly straight through the dosing funnel, right? Don't have to use a lot of force, just a gentle palm press. Try to level the coffee a little bit more, pull it out, and then there you go, right? It's a very well tamped coffee, right? So now let's try to pull a shot and see the espresso quality. Remember, we are now dialing at 89 clicks on the K4. It's a little bit slow, but I guess it should be alright. So I could have increased the number of clicks to 90. Perhaps it will flow slightly better. Right, so extraction and stop. Let me show you the coffee. Right, this is the pretty good extraction, I would say. And now let's return to take the second extractions for the coffee grinder on the K6. Right, let's remove the. You can see it's pretty. It's quite alright. There's maybe 1 or 2 holes on the surface of the puck. I think it's okay. Right, again, let's do a quick rinse to heat out the polyfilter again. Right, so now let's look at the K6. This is without the titanium coating. So as you can see, right, the static issue on the grinder is a little bit more. I guess the coating does make a difference. Right, so without titanium coating, you tend to have a little bit more static. That's based on my observation from my past ground. Right, so same thing, we're going to use the dosing funnel. Right, and do a little bit of WTT, front and back to break up the clumps. Gently turn in a clockwise manner, because I'm a right-hander. Right, a gentle knock on the pad, and I'm going to tamp right through. Palm press, spin off a little bit, and that's it. Pretty well tamped puck. Right, so same thing, we're going to do an extraction, and let's see how it goes. The espresso extraction seems to be a little bit slower, right? In fact, it's a lot slower than before, which means I have to increase the number of clicks. You can see the drip starts to comes out at about 49 clicks. I guess I will have to up the number of clicks to probably maybe 55, 54, 53. Another 5 clicks more should do the job. So sorry, I have to do it one more time. Okay, so I've pre-weighed again another 15 grams of coffee, and now we are at let me see. Remember the 50 is plus 3, so it's 53, 54, 55, 56. We are now grinding at 56. Let's go to 57, 58. Let's do it at 58 and see how it goes, right? And this time I'm going to count in my heart, in my mind silently, and I will not be repeat the number of revolution I do. About 55, slightly lesser than 55 revolution, so it's slightly faster because I've increased the grind setting. Let's check the static. Right, static is pretty much the same as just now. Right, so now let's try to pull shots. Right, the preparation is exactly the same, front and back. Okay, this time I didn't time it through. I'm just going to time it like this. Alright, let's see how it goes. Okay, it's pretty decent. Of course, the first coffee will have a little bit cool down a little bit more. And the volume seems to be a lot more. I think it's because of the grind setting. Right, so as the espresso gets exposed to air and oxidizers, the color changes to a darker, richer color. When it's first extracted, usually it's slightly lighter brown. That's my observation. And this is a medium roast, the Brazilian natural coffee from the Fazenda da Lagoa. So let me get a spoon and then we'll stir the espresso. Let's try to taste the first one first. Right, so let's first taste the from the K4. I think the K4 we can increase the grind setting by a little bit, but I would say the shot is very well balanced. There's the balance of sweetness and acidity is very, very balanced. I would say that this is a pretty good espresso. It's slightly on the brighter side. Yeah, and the finishing, the aftertaste is pretty good. There's no bitterness at all at the back. Right, let's try the from the K4, K6, sorry. Right. Oh, it's a lot hotter, definitely. I think the K4 tend to have a better body than the K6. K6 tends to be a more clean, very juice-like. It's slightly brighter. Yeah, the shot is a lot cleaner than the K4. Yep, so I think it depends on whether you like a more full body kind of espresso versus a cleaner and brighter kind of espresso. Right, the K4 tends to give you a slightly um, medium to heavy body kind of espresso versus the K6, which tends to give you a slightly lighter body, cleaner taste, sweet, brighter shots. But both espresso is very different, but both are very enjoyable. So I think this is my honest review on the K4 and K6 from the King Grinder. These grinders I purchased them myself. I'm not affiliates to the King Grinder whatsoever. And yes, we are affiliates to the Delonghi machines, but you can see whether this machine suits you, right? You can just get a very decent grinder and it can produce very good espresso shots. And just before we go, right, there's a tip for you. Let's say you want to do a back-to-back between the espresso and latte. Or what you can do is, let's say you heat up the milk to a steaming temperature and you want to do immediately you want to do an espresso shot. It can be done. So what you can do is you can switch on your steam, let all the steam out, and then you can see that the button here will stop flashing. You will flash, you'll stop flashing, and then which means that your espresso is the temperature is back to the espresso normal temperature. So you can straight away put the shot immediately after that. So that will actually reduce your waiting time from maybe about 3 minutes to maybe 10 seconds. If you just do a quick purge, maybe 10 to 15 seconds of purge time. So this is CY once again. Thanks for joining me. I hope you like the content of the King Grinder on the Delonghi Dedica, and I hope you like our content and do consider subscribing to our channels. And if you like our video, do remember to click the like button and share the video to your friends who are also fellow coffee lovers. Right? I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.